Hey, what's up, everyone? It's me, KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston RoundBall Review. Welcome to another edition of the Houston RoundBall Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and of course, on Roku, courtesy of the BS3 Network. Should be a full, 55 minutes or so. I have a colleague, Michelle Smith. Hopefully she can join us from the West Coast, the left behind coast, as far as college football is concerned. And then Mr. A.D. Moore from the AdMax Corner is going to talk some Texans at the bottom of the hour. And there she is, one of my, how should I phrase this about her? My colleagues, one of the queens of covering women's sports. I met her at the Women's Final Four a couple of months ago. She's ready. I'm going to bring her in. Miss Michelle Smith, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry about the view of my kitchen, but it's the best signal I have today.
That is quite all right.
That's all
I'm
right.
glad you were able to join me today here on the lunch break.
Yep.
This is different. This is one of my, you know how we talked a little while ago, you got to adjust with the times and try to do your side hustles and things like that. So this is one of those things.
You got it.
Okay, I'm going to show something to you. It's 3 slides.
Okay.
And I think just give me your reaction when you see these 3 slides. Okay. First one.
It'll be good. I mean, I think they'll all of those programs from a women's basketball perspective, and they're going to bring things to the Big 12. Obviously Utah's going back. Arizona and Arizona State are together. They've got a good rivalry. Yeah, they're going to bring good things to they're going to bring good things to Big 12. It's painful for me to look at these, just so you know.
Oh, well, okay. This one may these next 2 might be more painful.
Yeah. I mean, Oregon did what it had to do. And it's Big 12's going to be tough. Big 12's going to be good in a lot of sports, isn't it? I mean, it's going to be, and Oregon's going to bring a lot to it. Oregon's going to bring its swag. Oregon's going to bring, its ability to recruit, its great facilities. Yeah, Oregon's going to bring a lot to the Big 10.
And then this one, of course.
Yeah. And you know what? Washington is, has been a great athletics program. And I think that it's probably a tag along with Oregon. They were going to go together. But I don't think having schools like Oregon and Washington are bad for the Big 10, Big 20. What are we calling it? Big 18?
Right now, the Big 18. But let's get into it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 slides. Not one of them had Stanford on it.
Yeah.
Stanford is, what do you want to call it?
In search of a home.
And
really, really, really interesting, right?
Yes.
And making this abundantly clear that this is all about football, and everybody else is going to get pulled along for the ride, for better and for worse, and in a lot of cases worse. But this is about football, and Stanford and Cal are not bringing the football brand that these conferences, feel like they want to pay for, or more specifically, the TV networks think they want to pay for. And so here they are out in the 2 of the best academic institutions with some storied athletes, particularly on the Olympic side, just wandering around in the desert looking for a conference.
And as far as I know, in these last few hours this morning, Stanford and Cal are not going to go to the ACC unless that changed in the last few minutes.
Yeah, sounds like that.
What are your thoughts on? Okay, let me back up, Michelle.
Yeah.
When you first heard that the ACC was considering Stanford and Cal as potential members, what was your initial reaction?
That it makes no sense. That I look at a map and it makes no sense. But what makes sense at this point? What does looking at a map do you at this point with the way that the landscape looks? It really doesn't. I mean, the Big 12 certainly, I think, geographically makes more sense, obviously, than the Big 10 at this point. And there have been a lot of weird sort of conference configurations outside of the Power Five for a while. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't, Stanford will have more options than Cal because they always have the option of going independent, which I think Cal doesn't have. So, hello, Mountain West. Hello, Mountain West.
Would you? I think, and we haven't talked about Oregon State and Wazoo yet. Washington State. They seem, I mean, they're lower tier than Stanford, for sure.
Sure, right.
They seem like this no longer makes any sense. Okay.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And the teams that are left and the way that I don't know. It's every man for himself in terms of these conferences making decisions, right?
Mhm.
And it's not even, I don't know, I'm going to say there's no loyalty, but I'm not sure there ever was, but there's no sense of collaboration here. And I see why the ACC makes a decision, and I was really intrigued yesterday when Notre Dame makes a big pitch to include them and says, we'll come if you bring them. But I just don't know I don't think the Pac-4 teams that are remaining have a lot of other options on the table at this point other than to figure out how to merge with the Mountain West. I think that's, that may be the last card to play. Stanford could play the independent card, but everybody else is going to have to, figure out how to, join the Mountain West. And the Mountain West, to its credit, had a meeting and said, we're not taking ourselves apart to take these teams or, we're not splitting up to do this. And, some ways I think that's to their credit because I think outside of, some of, San Diego State, Fresno State, and some of the bigger program, maybe even a UNLV, there's no, there are a lot of good teams in that conference, including the school that I work for in my day job, San Jose State, which has had like a great Mountain West season last year, but was in danger of being left behind in a scenario where the Mountain West big dogs join the Pac-4 and form some sort of a, with whatever configuration it is. But I don't know what's left.
What would you say is percentage, in your opinion, of Stanford deciding to go independent?
30%. I think it's a lot I think there's a lot. They're not Notre Dame from a football perspective.
Right.
They're not. Mm-hmm. They're not going to NBC's not going to pay the kind of money it's paid for Notre Dame to, play a football schedule, whatever. I don't know. I think it's still, they're probably looking at the options, but I don't think it's more than 30%. It's a lot of machination required to make that happen in a very short period of time.
Then what do you say is the percentage of them joining the Mountain West?
I mean, depending on how good the word is we're getting today, I'm going to say 60%. And then I got another 10% hanging out there for God knows what. Some sort of last minute lifeline from somebody. I don't know. I mean, the other thing is, and I wonder, and knowing how much Fox played into the Big Ten discussions, is Fox just waiting for Stanford to be devalued to the point that they can bring them in at a bargain, right? Like, let them flail around, let them figure out they got nowhere else to go, and then we'll invite Stanford and Cal into the Big Ten at an incredibly reduced share and get them for cheap. I mean, it feels to me like stripping this conference for parts was the idea in the first place. So you get the last few.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, and you get the last few, you get the last two big academic schools. You round it out to 20, you create a West Coast division, but you get them on the cheap because now they're desperate. I mean, that's kind of like, I wonder. Those are my wonderings.
And in your scenario right there, would their share, Stanford and Cal share, be less than Oregon and Washington?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a garage sale at this point, right? I mean, like, I hate to say it like that, but that's where we are. Like, Stanford and Cal, they don't have leverage.
True.
There's no leverage for Stanford and Cal. Stanford's leverage might be we might go independent, and the Big Ten would say have a good time with that.
And regarding the Mountain West, would it be Stanford, the smaller ones, Oregon State and Washington State joining the Mountain West? Or would it be some sort of merger?
I think all four join the Mountain West. Whether the Mountain West rebrands at that point, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, right? So if they can put together the 4 teams and from the what's left of the Pac-12, it feels like maybe there's a rebranding to be done. But it's not a Power 5 conference. And I think that, I think Stanford wants to play Power 5 football.
And in that really worst case scenario now, if they rebrand and are not a Power 5, Autonomy 5 conference, that's less payout.
Yep.
Mount West is like $5 million per school.
Right. Financially, it's devastating. And I think particularly for Cal, I think Stanford has, the alumni base to help support, although I don't see that happening moving forward without making some cuts. Those cuts that they talked about that they ended up pulling back because they got all those extra sports endowed, there's just nothing to, there's just not enough money then to protect the program. So I don't know. It's a mess. There are no happy answers or good pathways here for the last 4 teams left in the Pac-12. They are trying to do the best they can to find a home that works the best for them. But there are no ideal scenarios here. None.
And let me remind everybody, you're watching the Houston RoundBall Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku, courtesy of the BS3 Network. I am KG Chris Gardner, and joining me is a colleague, Michelle Smith. We met at a women's Final Four a few years ago, and we kept in touch over the years. And let folks know a little bit about your background, and you touched on what you had to do now because of things you had to do way back when.
So I've been covering the Pac-12 for about 30 years. I was at the San Francisco papers, both the Examiner and the Chronicle. I was on primarily my coverage has been around women's sports and women's college basketball for the last 30 years, but I spent 7 years on the Stanford football beat. I covered Pac-12 football for AOL when they had a sports site called Fan House. I've been around the conference a really, really long time. So watching what's happened, I mean, honestly, it hurts. It's hard. It didn't. And I think that when you see the way it fell apart, it makes sense, but you still can't believe it actually happened. Like, that's the way I feel about it. I'm reading some of the, I guess obituaries, for lack of a better term, and I see how it happened, and I still can't believe it happened.
Who do you blame? You have 1, 2, 3 groups of folks to place blame?
I mean, clearly there were, I think not taking the opportunity to let ESPN take over the Pac-12 network under Larry Scott was a mistake. Not, I think there were no's in the recent past that should have been yeses, that wouldn't have put the conference in a position where you've only got this option. And, and you're left with Apple TV and a streaming subscription option that the presidents were wary of after their experience with the Pac-12 network. Now, I'm going to say this because I've been thinking this for the last few days about the Pac-12 network. The quality of the programming was never an issue for me. It was not small time. They put a lot of money into production. They had a lot of strong on-air talent. And from a women's basketball perspective, I think every coach in that conference would tell you that the number of games that they put on television during the season made a huge difference in their recruiting. Pac-12 women's basketball has been a power conference. Look at, how many teams they've sent to the Final Four in the last 10 years. They've got a Stanford National Championship in there. But this conference was built on the back of the exposure of the network. And so that's where I think, it's just really it's the irony of, and all of my friends who said on the East Coast, we can't watch Pac-12 games. Why is it so hard to get? None of that was wrong. And it was also true that the exposure, especially on the West Coast, made a lot of West Coast kids think about staying closer to home to play basketball, and it really benefited the Pac-12.
Agreed. I watched Pac-12 women's basketball. I have UVerse, one of the few still in the country that has UVerse. So my Fridays nights were watching Pac-12 women's basketball. And then UVerse dropped the Pac-12 networks for the last 3 seasons or whatever it's been. So I have not been able to watch it because I got
I
a
mean,
budget.
distribution was always a problem, but that was a big problem.
Yeah.
But, if you were a West Coast kid and your family lived on the West Coast and you wanted your family to see Pac-12, you went to a Pac-12 school because every Friday night there were 5 games on, and every Sunday there were a bunch of games on, and you really got good exposure. And think about the players that have come out of the Pac in the past 10 years during that period of time. Kelsey Plum, Jordan Canada, you've got Haley Jones coming out of Stanford now. You've got Cameron Brink about to come out next year. Like some of the best players in the country, as always, but coming through, it's just, it's frustrating.
Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah.
Folks,
I did not mean to
York,
leave out
Liberty.
Sabrina. I knew I was like,
Right.
there was
No. Some
Satu
folks be like,
Sabali's, Satu Sabali's in line for, most improved player in WNBA. Like there are some of the best, some of the top players in the league in WNBA are Pac-12 talent. And, even going back before that, NECA and Shanae. And
from here. Yes, from Houston.
Yeah, right. From your Houston girls. And so, there's, the Pac-12 has produced extraordinary basketball talent, women's basketball talent in the last decade. And, and I think a lot of the coaches would credit the exposure they got on the Pac-12 network.
And one of the reasons I invited you to be on today was because I read your frustration on social media. And I just wanted to get some of that passion on here because you've heard it, you see it. Folks media that covers women's sports, well, no one watches it. Or if they were this and if they would produce more money, if they made money, people who watches women's basketball, which just goes to show those folks have no idea about what's going on in basketball.
Well, one of the questions I've asked myself over the last few weeks is if, we're having these conversations now about how much the NCAA devalued women's basketball and the tournament. And had that been different, I'm not saying that any of this doesn't happen, but, if there's some payout to these universities for the women's basketball tournament that they weren't getting because they were squashing the value of the tournament, do people make different decisions because they're getting $5 or $8 million a year from the women's tournament that they weren't getting before? And does that bridge any gaps and make things easier for people to look at things because they know they've got that income? I mean, now when we're talking about the fact that the women's basketball tournament has been devalued for a long time, now I want to know by how much.
Right.
Now I want to know how much money would have gone to those conferences and what difference that would have made in their financial discussions. It's not football and it's not men's basketball with the NCAA tournament. But the fact is that tournament has been undervalued and devalued for a long time. And now I think it's time to find out by how much. And if any of this could possibly have been different if there was women's basketball money in the kitty for these schools. I don't know the answer to that question. I just am asking it. The other question I know that a lot of us are asking who cover women's sports a lot is, and I think the Missouri football coach said it, right?
Yes.
Like, football will be fine. What about everybody else? This is like, and what happens to, if you've got Stanford and Cal, which are two of the biggest Olympic pipelines that we have, how does that change our Olympic pipelines for athletes if, presumably they go someplace else, but the quality of coaching they get, the Olympic program knows that athletes that go into the Cal swimming program or the Stanford swimming program or, volleyball or whatever are getting the best coached, highest quality athletes. What happens? Does this impact the Olympic pipeline? Does it impact the pipeline to the U.S. women's national soccer team? How many Stanford players are on that roster? I have a lot of questions about us all making football decisions based on TV money and what it does. And I don't know if everybody saw this, the meme from Chip Kelly, the UCLA coach, saying, look, make 2 divisions of football, 64 team Power 5 division and 64 team, not Power 5 division, and let us both play for national championships and set up a schedule and leave everybody else to conferences. Come on, let's do it. It's not fair to basketball and baseball and softball and everybody else to be dragged across the country through the winter and into the spring and into crappy weather and into, and on long flights and eating bad airport food and mental health challenges and academic challenges. And I should have led with that because apparently these are student athletes, apparently.
Student assets, but yeah.
Yes.
Right.
But it doesn't have to look like this.
Agreed.
It doesn't have to look like this, where football dictates where everybody goes and everybody else just has to deal. It doesn't have to look like this.
And more national writers are bringing it up the last few days. But some folks who don't know, Notre Dame football is independent.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of their other sports are in the ACC.
Correct.
Their hockey team might be in the Big Ten. Whatever. But
Right.
it can be done if the powers that be wanted to do this, wanted to separate themselves. Football, Michelle, you know it. The college football playoff is not under the NCAA umbrella.
Nope, it's not.
So it's already started right there. So
But
this
the
could be done.
NCAA has been silent on the rest of its sports that are under its umbrella as they watch this happen. Where is the NCAA? Where is NCAA leadership saying, let's have a conversation about this? We'll let you have football. Go do your thing. Where are we? Where is the NCAA when it's talking about the health and welfare of the student athletes that are under its umbrella, because they haven't said a word?
The Knight Commission recommended 2-3 years ago about football being separate from the NCAA. The NCAA crickets.
Yeah.
Now NCAA crickets. Who's in charge of the NCAA?
Oh, now you're going to quiz me on the nice man who's the NCAA president, who I have no idea.
I mean, he's a nice man, politician, Charlie Baker. I think it's his
right.
name.
Yes, thank you.
But has he said anything about this?
Not well. I think that he said that this saddens him or something. Like, thanks, because that and $5 will get me an order at Taco Bell. Seriously, like, don't I don't know. Say something. Say, let's get together with the head of the conferences. Let's figure out how to fix this for our student athletes who they're responsible for. And I'm not saying this is going to be easy. Like, I looked at Chip Kelly's suggestion, which isn't the first time I've heard that, right? Split off football, spin off football. I don't know how you do it, but but I don't get paid to know how you do it.
Right. Has Stanford coach Tara Vanderveer said anything about
No,
what's happened the last few days?
None of the coaches have said anything. The coaches that you're hearing from right now are primarily the football coaches, because they're in season and they're the ones that are getting, they're in front of microphones every day after practice and whatever. But I haven't heard anything from any of the Pac-12 coaches. I've sent a few notes out telling folks that I'm thinking about them, and I'm hoping they're well, because I know this is probably pretty torturous for them. But it's pretty quiet right now. I think that, nobody's going to say anything at this point until the dust settles. I would imagine we'll hear from coaches once people have found a home. But yeah, Tara Vanderveer, sports winningest coach. No place right now, no conference right now. It's fine. Everything's fine.
And that was one of my concerns a year ago when all this first was kicked around, because as I said about the Pac-12 network, I watch women's basketball. I'm not ashamed to say it. Folks know me a lot for covering women's basketball. Stanford women's basketball is one of the elite programs in women's hoops. Yeah. Okay. So I had a big concern. What's going to happen to Stanford? Where are they going to go? And that was a while ago. Oh, no, it's okay. They'll be fine. No, right now, they're not fine.
Well, people still say they're going to be fine because they're an elite program and they'll still be able to recruit because of the academic profile. And to a degree, that's true. But, there's a lot of players. And I think Haley Jones just put something up on Instagram, and they talked about player mental health and the travel and how beat up they get, during the season. And if you think about what Stanford had to do during COVID, and we all heard that story because they did it a million times on ESPN, but with their 9 weeks on the road, I'm not saying this is quite the same, but 9 weeks on the road, all over the place, and the toll that it took on players. And what's fascinating is that's the year they win a natty, because they had been together all that time. They built such good chemistry and won 2 games in the Final Four by 1 point, by the way. So it's not like it was, a runaway, right? But they win the natty that year. But it took a toll. And it might have even taken a toll over these last couple of years, where Stanford was a little bit less than we all hoped that they might be in the end, right? And what's the toll, and what athletes are going to choose something different, either because they don't have the television exposure, their families can't travel to see them play, they don't have the support system to, Stanford can afford to create a support system for its athletes. Not everybody can. I don't know how Washington State and Oregon State's ability to afford a strong support system for its athletes. And it still doesn't change the fact that they're going to be on planes, charter or otherwise, jetting across the country, changing time zones, trying to keep up with their classes, trying to figure out their time zones when they land and they've got a noontime game at 9 o'clock California time. And then the next weekend they're back in California. I mean, I don't know how it's going to go. I don't think it's going to go great.
What are your thoughts on what was turned down, the Apple streaming platform, all streaming basically, as being visionary, but the coaches right now, no, we need a linear TV deal.
Yeah, I don't know enough. I don't know enough except that, you're not talking to, university presidents aren't young, and they're not, and whatever Apple might have been coming out, whatever's visionary, whatever's groundbreaking, whatever, just makes people nervous because they tried visionary and groundbreaking with the Pac-12 network and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there had been a linear partner with Apple, I think it would have been a no-brainer. Let's try this awesome thing that Apple's proposing because we still know that we've got the comfort of an ESPN package or a Fox package or something, right? But they didn't have that, and there was no blanket, there was no safety net there for them. And so I think that that's what made everybody really skittish. And the money's dependent on subscriptions. And I think Apple probably would have done a decent job of marketing it and selling the hell out of it. I mean, marketing and selling things is Apple's thing. It's the thing they do. But you can't convince a bunch of people who've just had, who have a little PTSD about the Pac-12 network that a streaming only option based on subscription model is the future for their conference. And I don't blame them for being skittish about it.
And based on that, Michelle, were you surprised that the commissioner, George Kliavkoff, that really was what he presented to everyone?
I think that's all he had to present.
But that's what I'm getting at is he waited so long. He turned down other linear opportunities.
I mean, those are the mistakes that we were talking about earlier, right? Those are the things that we're going to say, okay, here was, we turned down linear offers. We told, ESPN came to us with an offer and it was a nice offer, but it wasn't quite everything we wanted. So we asked them for a lot more and they said, thanks, that was fun, bye. And they left, right? Like there's, I don't know. There were mistakes made that led us here. And, and the result is blowing up a 108-year-old conference. It's crazy. I go back to where we started. It's crazy that we're here.
We got about a few more minutes with you. I know you had to go. Thank you very much, Michelle Smith, for taking time to join me here on the RoundBall Review Takeover. Are you still covering the WNBA?
A little bit. It's been a quiet summer for me for WNBA. I am waiting very patiently for the expansion announcement and hopefully a Bay Area team because we've been waiting a long time. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that's going to happen. But I'm keeping an eye on what's going on in the W, but I have not been spending a ton of time with it this summer.
With the demise of the PAC, what will you do after this coming season regarding the PAC coverage?
Don't know yet. Don't know where everybody's going to land yet. I mean, hopefully I'll do my Pac-12 coverage this season. And I really hope that they can give these athletes a really good season. It's going to be a historic season for all the wrong reasons. But I hope that, I hope enough employees are going to stick around at the Pac-12 and that they're going to be able to run good tournaments and things like that's my other worry right now is that people are looking for lifeboats. And, are they going to have enough people over there to be able to do the end of this conference the way it should be done? Honor the history that's there.
Well, sure. One final thing regarding Big 12 women's basketball.
Yeah.
Do you think with Arizona State, Utah, Colorado joining the Big 12 will help the conference return to national prominence?
I mean, you're obviously losing Texas and Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas has been obviously a historically successful program and Oklahoma's had its runs. And I think you need 4 teams of that quality to replace what you're going to lose with Texas and Oklahoma. So I'm going to say from a prominent standpoint, I think for a couple of years, it's going to stand pat, but I think those teams are going to raise the level of recruiting. I think they bring in some great coaches that are going to do some great work. I mean, Lynn and JR and Adia and, they're really good coaches and they know how to get good players. And I think that's going to up the game for everybody.
I hope you're right. I think you're right. I'm afraid it's going to make things difficult on the University of Houston women's basketball program. But competition, iron should sharpen iron, hopefully. But we'll see
Let's
how it
hope
all plays
so.
out.
Let's hope so, because in all of these scenarios, there are schools that are going to turn out, things are going to be less good for them than they might have been.
Michelle, thank you very much as always. It's great talking to you.
Good
If you
talking
don't
to you,
mind,
Chris.
how can folks find you on social media?
All right, so I'm still calling it Twitter.
Okay.
At MaxSmith413, Instagram at MaxSmith413, and yeah, I'm just doing the thing. I'm not spending a lot of time. I've got my threads, and it's the same handle at MaxSmith413. I'm just not doing a lot there yet. I got to get warmed up on threads.
I think I follow you on Threads. I think.
Yeah, I gotta get warmed up on threads.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Great to talk to you. Great to see you.
Thanks.
And hopefully we'll have better news to discuss at some point in the future.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Take care.
Sure.
With that, I think my man is ready. A.D. Moore. Mr. Moore, how are you, sir?
KG Chris Gardner, what's up? What's up?
Going to say thank you to Tony M and BS3 Ben from BS3 Network for chiming in as always. Going to take a quick break, Brother Moore, to remind folks a couple of things of who the lunch break is, as well as what BS3 is all about. So we got about 2.5 minutes, and we'll be back. You're watching the Houston RoundBall Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku, courtesy of the BS3 Network.
Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all.
The Lunch Break with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston RoundBall Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I should have said X, my bad. X, not Twitter, X. YouTube, and of course, on Roku via the BS3 Network. If you don't have BS3 Network or BS3, get the app on Roku or just go to the website at bs3network.com. I am KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston RoundBall Review, and joining me is my man, my colleague, my brother, AD Adolphus Moore from the Ad Max Corner. We're going to talk Houston Texans. Mr. Moore, how are you, sir?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. KG, how are you doing, man? I'm doing outstanding, doing great, man. Great conversation about the demise of the Pac-12, Pac-4, Pac-2, Pac whatever. It's kind of ironic that you saw the implosion within a matter of, a couple of days. You saw the implosion of a major Power 5 conference just go up. You know, it was almost like a natural disaster happening. You know, and I'm not making light of it. I mean, because you got some major natural disasters going. You got the major fire that's going on in Lahaina in Maui and Hawaii, and your heart goes out to those folks. And then we are under a major heat dome, and it's dry. A fire ban going on here. Some part, in Alaska. They got major flooding. Imagine this, Chris. They got major flooding going on in Alaska because the glacier has broken loose and it raised the water table. Go figure, man.
Go figure. And of course, climate change is not real. But
no, it's not.
But we digress.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Moore, I believe the Texans have a game this evening, sir.
Yes, they do. At 6 o'clock, we get to see the D'Amico Ryans version is long sought out. Been looking at a lot of practices, sweating at a lot of practices. Excuse me. At long last, we will see this version of the Houston Texans as it takes the field against the New England Patriots, and probably C.J. Stroud will get the starting assignment. Not a surprise there. In fact, he'll probably be the starting quarterback when they go up against the Baltimore Ravens. September the 10th? I think that's a Sunday. Yeah, September the 10th there, that is, it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to see how does Will Anderson look. Everybody been going. Almost every question going into camp going. Yeah, well, what do you think about Will? What do you think? How's Will at? That's certain players you keep counting on, and but that it's 11 players are going to line up on offense, 11 players going to line up on defense. And one while, what I thought was going to be one of the Texans' strong points, that being their offensive line with the investment they made with Titus Howard, Laramie Tunsil, and what's his name? Shaq Mason and all of them. They have made a major investment in that offensive line. Green is there now, and all of a sudden you lost Quisenberry to an ACL, MCL. So now you got Juice is coming. Juice Shrugs is coming in to be the starting center. You got a rookie at a starting center. You have a rookie at a quarterback. And to me, that's going to be an issue going forward as to how well this team is going to survive. Particularly, can they score points? Because that's a symphony that's between an experienced center and an experienced quarterback that they divide how the orchestra is played. But when you got two new conductors in it, that's an intricate part of how your offense gets started, i.e. a center, then you got which is a rookie, and then you're gonna have a rookie quarterback. I mean, no one knows what to expect, but they gonna line up and they gonna play tonight.
Mr. Willie Gibson he knows the answer to this. C.J. Stroud is from what university, Mr. Moore?
I think they go by the Ohio State University. I think that's what they reference to.
I think you're correct. But who is at some point, maybe soon, projected to be one of his top offensive weapons at wide receiver?
Tank Hill. Tank
Dale.
Dale.
Well, what school did he go to, Mr. Moore?
Tank Dale out of the
University. What school did he go to?
Out of the University of Houston. I think that's your alma mater, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct, sir. You are correct.
I think,
yes.
But Mr. Gibson, all he has to do is just go like the university, So
Well,
I don't.
see, as many times as he brings up things referencing C.J. Stroud, I'm going to continue to bring up Tank Dell. So it's all good. No worries whatsoever. But a reminder, Mr. Moore, Tony, Brother Gibson, make sure you get you a Houston Roundball Review mug to enjoy your favorite adult beverage or not adult beverage.
Not adult beverage, yeah, without a doubt.
And he says making sure the
Yeah.
Ohio State University.
Notice here, I'm surprised he didn't put that "the" in big Gothic letters and so forth, and forget about the rest. Just make sure you put "the" out there.
Yeah, the out there. But it's okay. It's all love here on JM&E with me and Willie Gibson, one of my brothers on the Folks Talking Sports live stream shows, which AD has been a guest on, sometimes leading into or sometimes following. With the AdMax Corner.
Hey, and really, and this season, Chris, it could be falling, it could be going in, because depending on what time the game's in, and we get out, we get the highlights done during the regular season. And in fact, even tonight, the corner will be active, maybe for about 10 or 15 minutes, just to do some quick highlight, just figure what I saw, did what we were looking at in practice for these last 10 practices. Was everything, what surprised us, what didn't surprise us, what needs to be taken care of, all of that. So we'll probably do a wrap sometime tonight around once the game is over. We'll jump on here and we'll jump on both channels and just do a quick highlight wrap and go on down the road.
Sounds good. Tony M taking a dig at Brother Gibson. Ohio State University. Yep. That works for me. Big Thrillo, how you doing? A TSU, I think TSU alum. I know a TSU supporter. Big Thrillo, thank you for chiming in here on the lunch break. Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku, courtesy of the BS3 Network. Me and my man AD Moore. You've been to practice. You've started sharing clips on YouTube Shorts, getting some good numbers, good feedback, viewers from that, as well as on Facebook and X as well. Kudos for yourself for doing that.
Yeah, and I'm about to add the Instagram to that, Chris. The Instagram will be tagged. It will be tagged as the AdMax Corner. So we were able to secure that, and so that's getting ready to work into the social media mix. So it's about it's once I get through at practice, man, you get through with all the interviews and everybody what they have for you. Then you can get back and go and even before I leave camp, I get a chance to cut it all up and get the bits and pieces all out to the different social media sites that we are being powered by. So it's been fun, man, and it's been a very eye-opening experience, man, because the numbers on the short, particularly on the YouTube channel, has been very eye-opening. And believe it or not, I think the two shorts, Christian Harris, I was talking because you have a plethora of Alabama players on this particular lineup, on this particular roster. And I was just asking one day, have y'all, got yourself a little click name or something? And he sort of looked at me and laughed and said, no, I hadn't thought about that. And you would be surprised the number of folks, I guess a lot of Alabama folks are probably waiting for that name to show up one day. But, we'll see. It'll be out there.
And Big Thrillo is a TSU alum and former player. I might have to get him on the show. Talk about TSU football, Texas Southern football. TSU here for us. We know Tennessee State's over there on the other side of the country, but TSU, Texas Southern, is TSU here in H-Town without a doubt. But Big Thrillo, stay by your email, man, or hit me up on email, see if we can get you on the show, a future show, get you on FTS, or even here on the lunch break. Talk some TSU football. I finally heard, Mr. Moore, that TSU has football practice, I think, at 6:30 in the morning. I heard that yesterday. I finally received word about that.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? What's interesting, Chris. We've been wondering. In fact, that was when we were at the American Conference meeting. You know, we were sort of wondering how and what was going to be the after effects of not so much of the colleges, but how the high schools are going to respond. And in like term, because I think Rice is practicing 7:45 in the morning. TSU what you say 6 or 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's trying to figure out a way to trying to avoid this devastating heat dome that we've been under for the last several, well, heck, just about the whole summer. But it's just been torrential. The serious dog days of August are really here on us.
Yep.
I kept telling folks, I said, "Oh, it hadn't gotten hot yet. Wait till August get here." Little did I know August was going to come in with such a pronounced effect, and it has. It has been well above and beyond what any of our expectations.
Yeah, I think the forecast we're projected to probably be it's August 10th through August 20th.
Right.
100 degrees plus.
Plus, yeah.
And the feels like temperature is like 108 plus.
108 to 113.
112, 113, 115. Yeah. It's hot. It's too darn hot. It's hot. It's very hot. As Ella Fitzgerald saying prominently, it's too darn hot. It is just too darn hot. All right, Mr. Moore. What can we expect? Any word on how much playing time CJ will get tonight?
CJ, I anticipate to see CJ no more than 2 series. Now, I say that, and that's going by listening to how D'Amico Ryans has approached every day. After every practices, he mentioned some guys are going to get some reps, different reps. I don't anticipate to see CJ no more than two. I think 2 series at best. Because here's the thing about it. I don't anticipate to see Larry Tunsil tonight. Now, I could be wrong. I didn't see the start, and I haven't seen anything about the starting lineup. But I don't anticipate. He probably will have to go a little bit, because with Titus being out, you got Frank is taking over Titus's spot. So it's going to be interesting, because they got this game. It's not worth him getting CJ hurt tonight. You just want to see how well he wants to go in there, how well he can command the huddle, how well he can come in, get the ball, get him to the line of scrimmage, get the snap count out, call a play, get the snap count out. I just want to see it happen. Yeah, we've seen it happen in practice. I've seen him when he's taking on 7-on-7, and he's oohed and all this, but now we get to find out for a fact that, hey, once that ball is snapped, you got 2-3. If you still holding that ball at 2-6, either you running or they have already sacked you. So that's why I anticipate for as he's concerned. I think I want to see how the defenses want to come together. In particular, I'm not so much worried about the front. I know, because that Will Anderson would be part of that front 4. But to me, the linebackers, the whole linebacking core is going to be, because it is some serious competition going on with the linebackers. And so I think the biggest competition, at least for my eyes, are going to be focused when the defense is out there. I'm going to be watching the linebacking play, because heretofore, the linebacking play for the last couple of years have nothing to write home about. And so they only got one way to go. It's up.
From what you've seen of practice, Texans practice, how has CJ looked? How much has the media been able to see of Texans? What is it, 7-on-7 or even full 11-on-11?
He's had his good moments. He's had some not so good moments. The defense has been able to take, he hesitate or he'll make a mistake. And I think, but the one thing what I've noticed, and one thing a lot of folks have acknowledged, CJ, he wants, if he's thrown an interception on 7-on-7, 11-on-11, or whatever the case, he's been able to, on a mistake, he's been able to look at it, and remembered and figured out, okay, where he's made his mistake at. That they're when you look at all three quarterbacks, and in fact, there's a Robert Woods who's probably will be one of the starting wide receivers once the season begins. He had a very interesting take on all three of those wide receivers that I had that is out that you can find out on X or Twitter or whatever. Like you said, I guess it's X for right now. That and X and also I think it might be on one of the short versions. It may or may not be, but Robert Woods had a very interesting dynamics. Case Keenum, Mills, and CJ on the different balls that they throw. So CJ has I think a great arm. I still think some mechanical issues that are there for him to work out, but they'll get worked out. They will get worked out.
You are on the gram, right, Mr. Moore?
I'm sorry?
You are on the gram, right? Instagram?
Oh, yes, sir. I am.
And what is that? What is that platform?
That platform is the AdMax Corner. It is clearly it is the AdMax Corner Instagram.
So have you made post to that yet? I know it's pretty brand new.
No, it's pretty no. That fact might be rolling. Might trying to get. I'm actually diligently working and getting it up and trying to get stuff rolling out on it. If not tonight, tomorrow, next few days, it definitely be stuff rolling out on the Instagram as well, Chris.
Okay,
and probably became and let's face it, since Threads is a part, Threads will probably come get drug along in that too, but we'll see.
So it is the AdMax Corner.
Yeah, it's the AdMax Corner. It's just AdMax Corner.
No THE.
No.
All right, so AdMax Corner. All right, let me type that up for folks who are wondering. So is this correct? Let's see here. Is this correct?
Yeah, that should be it. That should, yeah.
All right, so on IG, AdMax Corner. Wrapping it up in his final moments. Texans play the Patriots tonight at 6:00. It's on the road game for the Texans. I think it's going to be on what is it, ABC 13 here in H-Town.
Yes. 6 o'clock. I think kick time 6 o'clock.
So Big Thrillo, hit me up here, email so we can work on that. Try to get an interview with a former Texas Southern football player. Small world, AD Moore. People watching us do things, and we come together here on YouTube, social media, on Roku, on the Houston RoundBall Review, get to know people, spread the love. That's what it's all about. And of course, Mr. Moore, as you know, we are also in business. This is a business. This is a goal. This isn't what we want to do going forward.
We are not a 501c3. We are not a charitable foundation. We are a profit-driven center.
So if you are interested in wanting to advertise one of these numerous platforms, you hear it. We're on Instagram, X, Roku, Threads. Email me, kgardner@thehr.com. YouTube Shorts. Getting a lot of eyeballs. My one clip of football coach, UH football coach Dana Holgerson, saying Sack Ave is not dead, has received hundreds of views on my Houston RoundBall Review as a YouTube short. So different ways for you to get out there and get your company seen. If you want to do a live read, we can do that too. Heard as well. Final question for you real quick, Mr. Moore.
Yes, sir.
Rick Grillo, how does D'Amico Ryans look? Is he a leader of men? And that's command of the team.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, that D'Amico comes with a form of gravitas now, and I think you seeing this. I think you seeing this coming is working his way down through his players and through the team, and I think you've seen it all through the city as well, man. I think there's a buzz going about this team now, and so yeah, I make no mistake about it. He's gonna have his growing pains, but I think you're gonna know who's in charge. There's no ifs, ands, and buts, and let's not make no mistake about it. This is D'Amico Ryans' team. Period.
Excellent. So, Big Thrillo, I hope that answer puts a smile on your face. This final minute and change of this edition of the Houston RoundBall Review takeover of the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, X, YouTube, and of course on Roku. Yes, on Roku via the BS3 Network. Mr. Moore, how can folks find you again?
Okay, you can start me at X AD_Moore 64. Instagram AdMax. Instagram is the AdMax Corner. You can catch, and also you can catch me on my own personal Facebook page, Adolphus Moore out there. And you know, I'm utilizing, but a lot of my shorts are going on the YouTube channel. So folks out there, and you know, the thing what I like about the shorts, Chris, I got folks even going like, hey man, I get a notice every time one of them pop up. So it's been a lot of eyeballs. I mean, within the matter of the last few days, man, it's been a lot of eyeballs going to the YouTube channel. So I'm very encouraged by that. So if I can get those same Instagram eyes and turn some
Isn't
people
that right?
Huh?
AdMax Corner on YouTube as well. AdMax Corner on YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, YouTube and IG, AdMax Corner. All right, Brother Moore, thank you very much as always. I am KG Chris Gardner of the Houston RoundBall Review. Catch me on IG, Threads, and TikTok at Houston RoundBall Review, and of course on the Houston RoundBall Review on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed the conversation today of the Houston RoundBall Review takeover of the lunch break, powered by JM&E. Thank you to my colleague Michelle Smith McDonald. She's Michelle Smith to me. Covered women's basketball for eons and eons. Covered Pac-12 for 30 years. And now it's down to the Pac-4. So hope you enjoyed that conversation with her. Michelle, thank you as always for chiming in and showing her passion about covering a once proud conference. We're going to close it out. Mr. Moore, thank you as always, my man. Have a good show tonight on the AdMax Corner. Catching it on AdMax Corner as well as streaming live on the Houston RoundBall Review YouTube channel. This final moment, going to close it out with Miss Sybil Wilkes with What You Need to Know. Everybody take care. Oh, and of course, since 1994, the Houston RoundBall Review. Local name, global perspective. Take care. Peace.
It's Sybil Wilkes with What You Need to Know. Today is Thursday, August 10th, 2023. Number 1, Barbara Scotia College, one of America's oldest historically black colleges, needs our help. New president attorney Chris V. Ray is leading the Barbara Scotia Rising effort to raise the funds via a donation campaign to return Barbara Scotia to its days as one of America's best colleges. There are several tasks facing the 156-year-old college, not the least of which is a $500,000 debt, along with the loss of accreditation. Check out the What You Need to Know newsletter for ways to show support. Number 2, Coco Gauff, the 19-year-old tennis sensation, claimed her 4th WTA Tour singles title in the Sunday DC Open Women's Final after a disappointing first-round exit at Wimbledon. The rising star has become a role model not only for the on-court prowess, but also for her activism off the court. Number 3, ADHD is one of the most common neurodevelopmental disorders of childhood. Children with ADHD may have trouble paying attention, controlling impulsive behaviors, or being overly active. When ADHD is not treated, it can be hard for children to succeed. This may lead to low self-esteem, depression, oppositional behavior, school failure, risk-taking behavior, or family conflict. Number 4, on August 6th, a black woman in Raleigh, North Carolina, identified as Bree, shared a video on Twitter showing her neighbor going into a full meltdown after being told to keep her dog on her own property. In the doorbell footage, Bree can be heard telling the woman, "You gotta get your dog, you gotta put your dog on a leash," after the animal ran into her garage. The neighbor lost it when Bree started recording the interaction, cursing Bree out and her family, and stating she doesn't care if she's black or purple. Bree has pressed charges on the white neighbor. Number 5, the Detroit Police Department has secured $3 million in state funds to hire 14 new neighborhood police officers and 11 people for the agency's mental health unit, a boost city officials say couldn't come at a better time. The 14 new neighborhood police officers are set to join existing teams that cultivate strong relationships within communities. These officers will work closely with Shot Stoppers, a violence prevention initiative, and aims to establish trust and familiarity. Barbara Scotia College, as we mentioned in Story 1, an HBCU in Concord, North Carolina, needs our help. The What You Need to Know team is asking our supporters and alumni and friends of Barbara Scotia to help them meet their immediate and pressing needs by donating to help Barbara Scotia rise. Please join the thousands of donors from around the world who are stepping up to save one of the nation's oldest HBCUs by visiting SybilWilkes.com for more information. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Seek good sleep as if your life depends on it. Because it does. Sleep is medicine for the mind and body. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with mental wellness contributor Aprilette Russell, as well as president of HBCU, Barbara Scotia, Chris Ray, and the very first Black female U.S. Surgeon General of this country, Dr. Joycelyn Elders. We'll also discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Black Health Matters. And check out a celebration of Black filmmakers rooted in the HBCU culture, November 10th through the 12th, and that's at Howard University's Blackburn Center. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.